guys, welcome back to another episode of Head Over Heels. My name is Maggie, as usual, your bi-weekly host. And today with me, as you guys can see, if you're on YouTube, we've got the very lovely Lez Ann back on the show.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Maggie, for having me on the show yet again.
Always a pleasure.
Oh, it's always such a pleasure to be hosting another episode with you. Speaking of episode, ladies and gentlemen, this episode, I heard this is a hard one, but yet very profound one, Maggie. Would you like to tell us more about what we're going to be discussing today?
So this is actually our very first collaboration episode, this time with Women's Aid Organization, WAO. And this is in conjunction with their hashtag #GIRLSTAKEOVER campaign, which is a 16 days of activism against violence. So, brief idea for you guys who may not have heard about this is basically a campaign to provide an avenue for young girls to engage in political, social, economic discourse and help them develop their own opinions on these important issues. And of course, it's also designed to reclaim and celebrate our girls' rights and allow them to have their opinions and voices heard. Love that, by the way. And ultimately, take charge and advocate for a change.
Wow, that's so amazing, Maggie.
Yeah, that is just so nice to even say it out like that. So yeah, today's episode will be very special. Like I said, I say this all the time, it's always special, but it is very special. We do have two special guests on the show. The first one, which we will introduce shortly, and then the later one, we will be having someone from WAO to, just
tell us more about what gender-based violence is.
All about.
Yes. And speaking of gender-based violence, Maggie, I've been thinking so much about it this past week when we were prepping for our podcast, that it falls, sexual harassment, sexual abuse, sexual assault, and rape falls under the category of, gender-based violence. And it's so important to tackle this issue right now because it's so rampant. It's like COVID, it's everywhere. It's in public places, in workplaces, in schools, in places where you're supposed to seek help from. And also, some of these cases can be found in places where you call home, Maggie.
I agree. It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. It gets me so angry, so riled up to think that people that are supposed to protect you are not.
Yeah.
So Maggie, talking about, sexual harassment, because this is what we're going to be talking about today. What are your experiences as a woman with sexual harassment?
My experiences, I think before I dive into my experiences, I just want to also put it out there that this is a very difficult topic to even talk about. I don't want to say I've been avoiding it, but I just never knew how to bring myself together to say it. Yeah. To say it and to, of course, share my personal story. And I think you guys, if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen some of my stories a couple of days ago before this podcast, where I put up a couple of questions and asking if you have ever been sexually harassed, assaulted, and abused. And so many of you said yes. And then my next question was, did you do anything about it? There were two options. I froze, I was scared, and I called him out. The percentage for I was scared was so much more. It was, I think, about 89% as comparison to, girls or women who, had the courage to call these abusers, perpetrators out. And it breaks my heart. And then, of course, I went on to asking all these stories. And I would say those were the toughest thing I had to read in my life. I'm so sorry it happened to you. And thank you for sharing with me. It is safe. Obviously, I'm not going to put it out there publicly, never, ever. It's safe with me. And a lot of you said that you have never, ever said it to anyone. And the fact that you open up to me, it means a lot. So yeah, thank you if you're listening to this right now. And don't worry, I trust you. I trust you and I believe you. Okay? All right.
And it's so important, trust and believe.
Yeah, it is. Because I think it just breaks my heart to know that all these victims, even after sharing their story, so many people don't believe them. oh, don't overthink. It's nothing.
Yeah, of course. This is what
dismissing.
We grew up listening to all these as well.
Yeah.
You know, you're overthinking things. You're being over dramatic. Yeah. I'm sure he didn't say that. I'm sure he didn't do that.
I'm sure he's not like that.
Yes.
Oh, damn it. So mad right now.
You're actually, people who said that, you're actually shaming us for being uncomfortable in a situation. And you shouldn't
silencing
be doing that.
us, because when we are trying to open up here, here you are basically dismissing any of the victim's feelings, which is not okay. Okay, we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, I think ultimately today's episode, we're not experts, but we're here to share our story and to really have this conversation going so that, together, collectively, we can have our voices heard. We can stand together with our women and our girls, knowing that you're not alone and we are here for you and we are here for one another.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Maggy, would you like to share your experience, like maybe one or two?
I think I would just share one that I think is still affects me till today. Maybe to some people it's not that bad. That's what they always say, right? I thought about it long and hard whether or not I should say it. But I guess since we're doing this, I think it's time. It's time for me to finally say it. Only a very handful of people in my life know. This happened a couple of years ago. I think 4 or 5 years ago. It was a job. I was sexually harassed while working. Yeah. Again, I think the reason why I didn't really say it or share it publicly, because when I did share with some people, I was told that, what can I do? You won't be able to win a lawsuit with this person. You won't be able to prove anything. You don't have the money to do that. And it's true. I was not earning that much at the time. And I know if I ever were to call the person out, then, things will not go my way and I'll end up hurting even more. So I guess I chose to heal in my own time and my own way. So yeah, it was for a celebration, a countdown event. Okay, I'm not going to say what. I'm trying to not give too much details just in case.
Yes, you don't have to.
It was one of my very, very first big gigs. So I was really excited. And of course, I was extremely nervous as a host. I, make sure I've prepped everything I could. And I show up at the job early and went for rehearsals. It was a solo hosting gig, right? And just about, I think, 2 hours before the show, and I was told that, I'll just say boss, the boss of the organization will be hosting with me. So to me, it was a little bit, I wasn't sure what to do. It was one of my very first ones. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is a norm that he likes to do it with the host. But again, I don't know what he was going to say because I've got all my points in my script. Then how is he going to be a part of my script? And I actually went up to the person and said, hey, this is my script. Which part would you like to come in? I was just trying to, know the flow of the conversation because it's important. It's going to be a big stage. And I was just being brushed off. Don't worry. Just do your thing. I know what to do. Okay. That was it. Not that was it. That was the first few, happenings. And then I just kind of like, okay, I guess he's the boss. I shouldn't say so much. So I went to the corner and I just was a little bit even more nervous than I was before because I'm like, okay, now I have to host with someone and it's someone that I don't even know because it's important to have chemistry with your co-host.
Of course.
Okay. I was just puzzled, didn't dare to ask so much. And at the time I was wearing basically a dress that was just slightly above my knee. Very slightly. It's not very short. And I was wearing high heels and a leather jacket. And this outfit was approved beforehand. That's how it always works. Hey, show us your outfit. If client's okay, then you can bring it in. Approved outfit. And then this girl came up to me. He said, hey, he said to take off your leather jacket. And I didn't think so much, honestly. I just thought, oh, okay, maybe he thinks it's a bit too, I don't know, too... Honestly, I don't know why, to be honest.
Too conservative? What?
I was told to take off my leather jacket. And I was just like, again, I was just so focused on the job. You know how I am when I'm working, right? So I said, oh, okay, sure. I was just kind of like making sure the client is okay, happy. Oh, sure, no problem. I didn't think too much about it. Okay. And this was as I was about to step on the stage. I was still trying to ask him, hey, what are you going to say? He just brushed me off again and again. So I just, you know what, Maggie? Just, you got this. I was just trying to tell myself, I got this. And just as I was about to step on the stage, this was when it started feeling extremely uncomfortable. I was wearing heels, you see, and I'm very tall. So as I was going up the stairs, he was next to me, and it was quite a narrow stairs. And you know how when you wear a dress and you step up a stairs, it will kind of like come up a little?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to let you guys picture it. And he said to me, he whispered next to me, and he said, hey, don't flash. If you want to flash, just flash it at me. And this was when I was literally 5 seconds before the show, yeah. And I didn't know how to react.
I mean, if I were you and we work in the same industry, and if someone says that to me 5 minutes before going on stage, 5 seconds before going on stage, I'd be terrified.
Yeah, so I just kind of like brushed it off. I had to perform. So that was all. I was kind of wiring myself to just, Maggie, just perform, deal with it later, don't overthink. Went on stage and because now he's my co-host, I had to make sure he have some lines to say, you know. But the whole time, he was just making me so extremely uncomfortable, saying things like, because it was like an elevated stage. And he said, you guys don't look under a skirt, ah. It was so hard for me to stay professional. Goodness. And it was so awkward for me as well, because I was just like, yeah, guys. So I was kind of like making sure I was just at the center of the stage and not so much at the edge, so that I will not be upskirt. But the thing is, my skirt is not short. It will not, because it's just right above my knee.
Yeah.
But then there's this group of boys right in front of the stage, and he said to them, hey boys, I know she lang loy, ah. Y'all want a number, you don't, ah? I don't know what that was necessary. I had my lines, but I couldn't say any of it. If you want her number, you ask from me, she's mine. I was just like really stunned. I was shaking, but at the same time, I was just trying to do my freaking job. So I just went on, continued, yeah. Oh, you know, next we have this, we have that. I was just trying to do my job.
Of course.
And I think towards the end of it, it continued on for a while, many different things, but I don't remember too much of the details because, you know, when the clock strikes 12, we were about to count down.
Yes.
Right? There were mascots coming on, dancing on stage, and we had to, you know, play along. And sorry, this is really hard because I've never actually said it publicly.
What happened next?
I don't know. I always tell myself, Maggie, maybe you're overthinking. But so as we were counting down 10, 9, 8, are you guys ready? 4, 3, 2, 1. He came up to me, put his hands around me and around my face, and kissed me so hard on my cheeks, like, and I was just, I think my world stopped for a bit. I didn't know what I wanted to say. I was just shaking a little, but at the same time, I had to perform. I had to perform because I signed an agreement that if I fuck up the show, I have to compensate them.
And you needed to be professional.
Yes, and I was trying to be professional.
Job. Yeah.
I was stunned, didn't know what to do, left the stage. And all these while, Joseph was there in the audience. I thought I was overthinking until he
pointed it out.
Yeah, he said, are you okay? He asked me, are you okay? What was that asshole doing? And that was when I knew it was not okay what he did. Because the whole time I was just trying to brush it off and do my job. Yeah, we need a tissue sponsor.
You know, it boils down I mean, all these sexual harassment, sexual abuse, sexual assault, rape cases, it boils down to one thing. It stems from toxic masculinity. Whatever he did on stage, it's not right.
Yeah.
Okay, guys? If you're listening to this podcast right now, it's not right to show your authority just because you need it to boost up your male ego.
Yeah.
All right? It's all about male dominance there.
It is.
I mean, what I'm hearing from you, whatever he did, 5 seconds before going on stage, what he said on stage to all those boys out there, it's male dominance, and he wanted to dominate that moment right there because he was scared.
Yeah.
He was a pak chicken.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Maggy, that you had to go through something like that. And I'm so proud of Joseph for knowing that it wasn't right for a fellow men to do something like that to any girl at all.
Yeah. I'm so Thanks for expressing my anger because
it's okay. It's okay to cry, Maggy. What you went through, I know. Some people might say, it's just a small thing.
Yeah,
no,
he didn't touch you inappropriately. What?
He did.
He did.
He did.
He fucking kissed me in my face. Even my boyfriend asked me for permission before he kissed me. Fucking, sorry.
Any unwelcome physical touch, any unwelcome comments about our bodies, it's not welcome. Okay, you have to remember that it's not welcome.
Yeah, not okay.
You've pointed out, your experience at workplaces on sexual harassment. I have also one experience that I recently encountered. It was just 2 months back when I was involved in a minor car accident and I needed to make a police report at the nearest police station. So I went and it was around midnight. I was alone. I went to make my report with the lady officer. And I had to wait to get my license photocopied by another officer. So they told me to wait right outside his office. And I did. And he made me wait for half an hour. There was nobody around. But he made me wait for half an hour until about 1 a.m. in the morning. I was tired. I was so tired. Just wanted to get it over and done with and go home and have a good rest. The first question he asked, this is a law officer of the law. And the first question he asked was, are you married? Followed by, do you have a boyfriend? And then he took a long time just looking at my license before making a copy of it. Is that necessary? Was that necessary? I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I was alone and I didn't want to make a big thing out of it and jeopardize my report or jeopardize myself in that police station. So I kept quiet.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what to say. I wanted to say so much.
Yeah.
Like, is that appropriate? Like, kenapa, officer, this is not the right questions to ask. And it happens everywhere. It happens to people who are, at homes as well, places where you call home as well. It's so rampant.
It frustrates me that, this is coming from a law officer that's supposed to take care of us and it's someone that we're supposed to trust when shit goes wrong. But instead, we can't even feel safe with people that we're supposed to trust.
I don't feel safe.
No.
I don't feel safe at all. Even if I get stopped by police at the roadside.
Oh, yeah.
I won't stop because I'm scared.
Yeah.
I don't trust them. Yeah. Why?
Yeah, like just sharing these experiences, we are a very small portion of the entire pool of victims. And a lot of them don't get to tell their story.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I feel shitty not calling him out.
Yeah.
But to be honest, there wasn't really, if I did at that time, my friends were being realistic. They felt for me, but they wanted to protect me at the same time. They just knew that this person is bloody loaded, that even if I used up my entire savings, I will not be able to fight him. But
I get it.
Yeah.
It also comes from most of these attacks come from men with, I would say, privileged background
and power.
And they could get away with it.
Jeffrey
Epstein.
Yes.
And there's one more, the gymnastic coach.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but
you mean the yoga guy?
No, the gymnastic coach. He wasn't a gymnastic coach. He was a medical officer for the gymnastics team of the USA.
Right.
And he was sexually abusing the girls.
The girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they thought that they could get away with it because of all the power and money that they have.
But, the thing is, it's not just, it's also very important when someone opens up to us.
Oh, yes.
We say the right thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
May I continue a little bit of my story? I know we are running a bit of our time because we have 2 more guests here. So I actually spoke up to my boss at the time. I went up to her. I mustered all my courage to share with her because I knew this would be one of the clients where I was working. Mm-hmm. The world is very small. Everyone knows everyone. She was a lady boss, and I remember telling her, and only because she's a lady boss, I was like, okay, I need to tell her how I feel. I went up to her, told her what happened, blah, blah, blah. And, she was sorry about what happened. But I think after that, I'm not sure why she said this, but I basically felt so much more worse than before.
Did she say?
She said, actually, next time, if someone asks you to take off your jacket, you shouldn't have. If you had more charisma, maybe they won't even dare to approach you like that. You shouldn't have taken off your jacket in the first place because that way, in some ways, you are giving him the green light. That's why he did what he did after. I honestly was just, okay. I didn't know how to respond. Basically saying it was my fault, right? That's, ever since then, I never told a single soul until today. I felt I was silenced when I was opening up about a very legitimate experience that hurt me, that made me felt disgusted, worthless. And here she is, a fellow woman, telling me that I was the one who gave the green light. That's not okay too.
No, that's not okay. And I think it's also in our cultural norm.
Yeah.
To victim blame.
Yeah. I think we can get into that later on with
our
WAO
representative. Yeah. We're so excited for them to come on, but we do have a few things to talk about, actually, about Maggy. You told me that you wanted to know what parents can do to further educate their kids about gender-based violence.
Yes.
So I have a 6-year-old. I have a daughter. She's 6 years old, and her name is Alyssa. And I've taken the initiative to actually speak to her about certain types of gender-based violence. Of course, age appropriate lah.
Yeah.
So I've taken the initiative to. I have a list. So if you guys don't know, on my Instagram page, I do not like to. I wouldn't say I do not like, but I don't usually preach my parenting guides or my parenting methods, because I think parenting is a very personal one between you and your kids. But I would like to share what I've done with my daughter. So there's a list, okay? Most of my parenting methods, it comes from discussion with my sister and my cousin, because we grew up in the same family. We grew up with the same principles and values. So it's very easy to talk to them about our principles growing up as a child, and what our parents did for us and all that. And we would like to, come together and discuss about it. What can't we not, what to do and what not to do anymore. So what we have created individually is a list of stuff that we can do with our own kids. My list includes, of course, the first and foremost is stranger danger. Okay, stranger danger. Talk about that with your kids first and foremost. Second is practice and talk about respect for yourself and for your own body with trust and honesty. That's very important. that to allow them to understand that their body is theirs and not anyone else's. Respecting their no's. For example, at family gatherings, at parties, you know, kids, friends or relatives, they're like, hey, give me a hug lah, you know, give me a kiss. I'm going off. And sometimes kids do not want to do that.
Yeah.
So I always practice asking Allie, hey, do you want to give a hug? Do you want to give a kiss? If not, it's okay. You can give a high five. If not, it's fine. Just say bye.
Yeah.
You know, give them the opportunity to choose what to do with their own bodies. And these are the few things that I've discussed with Allie about, and I think it opens up to a bigger dialogue later on when she grows older about sexual abuse, sexual harassment, and all that.
I love
so. But these are the little things that you can do with your kids to start them off.
Yeah.
So that they know what to do in a situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And honestly, especially with the advancement of the internet.
Oh, yes.
You know, it's great. It's a great catalyst, positive catalyst for innovation, for communication, for education, economic growth. But at the same time, it also gives...
It opens up the doors.
Opens up the doors for sexual abuse online, for all these...
predators to come on.
Catfish young girls.
Yes.
And that's kind of why we had this conversation today, because it's also part of, like I said earlier, #GirlsTakeOver by WAO. And in fact, this next part of the podcast, we have somebody who is a part of #GirlsTakeOver, and she is here to tell her story.
And of course, our focal point for today would be sexual harassment online. And she has been a sexual harassed survivor.
Yes.
Her name is Qaisara.
Yep.
And she's 14 years old. She's 50 next year. And we're so excited to have her on board with us to talk about her story and her experience with sexual harassment online.
Yep.
Hello, Qaisara. Welcome to the show.
I'm very excited to be part of it.
And we're very excited to have you on board. So, Qaisara, could you tell us more about yourself and your story with sexual abuse online?
Okay. Hi, I'm Qaisara, and I'm 14 years old. And this experience happened last year when I was 13. So I posted on my story, on my Instagram story, just a fit I wore, which wasn't anything very revealing. And this random account, I didn't know who it was. There was no profile picture or post. And they replied to my story and they said, hi, I know you won't see this, but you look very pretty in that picture and like you look really good. And I don't think I've ever like had someone reply to my story like that. So I felt very happy about it. So I just replied with a simple thank you. That's like very nice of you. And ever since I replied, they would just text me like, hi, how are you doing? And I would feel bad if I didn't reply. So I would just say, hi, I'm okay. Like, how are you? And then they would start asking me questions about myself, like, oh, how old are you? Where are you from? And since I didn't know them, I would dodge the question. I told them like, oh, we just started talking, so I'm not going to answer those questions. I'll just tell you like, other questions like what's my favorite things, what's my favorite food and all that. And they said, oh, it's fine. It's completely fine. So I found them very like respectful, you know? And I thought it was okay to just keep talking with them since they respected my decision. And then we talked for like about a week. And then I just said, oh, since we've been talking for a week, you know, I'll just probably just tell you my age since that's okay to tell. And I was like, oh, I'm 14. What about you? And then the person said, oh, I'm a male and I'm in college.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, well, I didn't think any of it because, you know, my sister was in college also. So I was like, okay, it's fine. And then we started talking more and they suddenly just texted me like, oh, you know, like your eyes are so pretty, your lips look so kissable and all that. And I was like, oh, thank you, but I didn't really like it. I felt very uncomfortable. And one day I was just doing my class and I found a long paragraph sent to me from them. And it was like, hey, so I've been thinking like if we dated, this is how our date would go. And like, he was like, oh, we'll go here, we'll go there. And then the end, he was like, I'll bring you to a beach and then I will like kiss you passionately. And I was like, oh, because I was just 13 and he was like a college student. So I didn't really like that. And I was like, oh, well, you know, our age gap is really big. So I don't think we're allowed to do that. And then he said, oh, no, it's fine. Age is just a number. And I was like, not really right now, since he was over the age of 20 and I was just 13. So, and then he suddenly texted me like very dirty stuff. He said, one thing I'm okay to say is that he said he wanted me to give him head. And I didn't know what head was since I was 13. So I searched it and that's when I crossed the line.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, okay, I should just ignore them. I should ghost them. I don't want to talk to this person anymore. So I ignored all his texts. And then he started getting aggressive to me by saying in all caps, like, hey, why aren't you talking to me? Talk to me now. And then he said, I'll find where you are. I'll find where you live. And I was like, I just off my phone and I just started shaking and crying because I was really terrified. And I didn't know what to do. And I was really scared. And I didn't want to tell anyone because I was scared of what people would think if that I texted a random person I didn't know and they started saying these things to me. So I was just confused and I was just blank-minded. So I just thought to sleep it off and, you know, decide the next day on what to do. So it took me about 3 days to get the courage to at least tell one of my friends, which I'm close to. And then I told her and she said, you should just report the account and block it because, you know, even I don't know what to do, but I'll be here to support you. And I was like already happy that she was there for me. So then I reported the account, I blocked it, and she posted on her story a screenshot of the account and she told everyone to block it, but she didn't state like why to because I wasn't really ready for that yet. And then the account got deleted and I just felt very relieved when it got deleted. So yeah, that's what happened.
I'm so sorry that happened.
It's okay.
How are you feeling now?
I feel happy. I feel much more better and I've avoided to any random text I get on Instagram or any social media platform now because I'm just terrified if that will happen again.
And you were also terrified to share that with your mom. Yeah. And I just want to ask, why is that so? Because I was your age once and there were a few experiences that I went through, but I didn't share it with my mom. And as a mom myself, if my daughter would be going through what you are going through at the moment, I would like, I don't know. I mean, I would like to understand why. Why would you not, you know, share it with your mom?
It's because at that time, I didn't really share anything with my mom. I was just scared of what she would think of me. And like, you know, I was scared she would scold me about it because, you know, it was a random account. And I just suddenly texted them back because, I don't know, I was just a 13-year-old. And I was just scared to tell anybody in general.
And how do you feel now after being part of the WAO initiation, after reaching out? I have to commend you for your courage.
Just so proud of you.
Yeah, for your courage to reach out to people to talk about this and create awareness. So tell us how you feel now.
I feel very happy. I feel relieved because I really want to spread awareness out there about anyone who's been through those, and also to those who haven't been through it, but like also get those texts. Just, I really want to, you know, let it out.
Yeah.
And all.
And it's good to let it out. I mean, of course, the saying goes like, the first line of prevention is education.
Yes.
And, you know, with education, you can help spread awareness and are you talking about this in your school with other girls?
No, I haven't really shared my story publicly. Like this is the first time I'm sharing it publicly. But in my school, I'm in this club called PRS, and in meetings we talk about topics like this. So other people share their story, and I kind of shared a bit of it, but not in too detailed like this. And you know, they just listen and give advice and all that, and it's really great. It's really nice.
So you guys have an open dialogue with just girls, and talking about your experiences and sharing advices. It's great, and I'm really curious to know about sex education in school.
Oh yeah, because we never had it in school.
Yeah, we never had it in school.
Do you have it now?
No, I don't have it in my school. They didn't do any.
Guys, really? Still?
Time
no
to do
sex
something
education?
about it.
Would you like to have sex education in school?
I feel like it's appropriate to have sex education in school because everybody should, you know, be aware about all of this and should learn and all that in advance so that they can teach the future generations about it.
And would you like to talk about your about sex education with your parents as well? Would you like to start from there, or would you like to learn it in school with your friends?
I feel like I'll start from school first and then I'll tell my parents about it.
Yeah. I really just want to say I am really proud of you for just being here. And like you said, you've never actually shared your story with anyone. So I'm sure it was scary for you. But we are so proud of you. And I know it's hard because I think I just shared mine and I cannot imagine, you know, how you're feeling now at such a young...
I think you gave her the courage as well to share her story.
Yeah, when I saw you tell it, I built up the confidence even more to tell.
We're here for you, okay?
Yeah.
Anytime. And of course, you've got WAO. Yeah. Let's soak it all in. I think it's very emotional. It's very heavy for us all. Yeah, I think some of you out there might think, hey, nothing actually happened. Why make a big deal out of this? No. Inappropriate comments like that. And of course, saying that to a minor, a 13-year-old girl, that is not okay. Especially if they don't have the understanding yet, how can they protect themselves? Do you know what I mean?
And threatening minors that they know that you know where they are. That is something I cannot comprehend. I mean, have you all lost your conscience, really?
But yeah, I really hope by having this conversation and having more of these conversations not just brings awareness. I want to make a change. I don't want to just bring awareness. I want things to fucking change.
Yes.
You know? I want to stop hearing stories like this so that it won't happen to our girls.
Yeah, and for the next generation and generation after, not to talk about issues like that anymore. They can talk about the innovation, technology, whatever, but not something like that has been happening for decades.
Because you mentioned earlier, it's like COVID, but I think it's worse than COVID.
Oh, yeah.
You know, COVID is just, it happened like last year, but this has been going on for decades and decades, centuries.
Yes.
But I'm glad that I'm living in this lifetime where I'm able to speak up and stand for my fellow women and my girls.
Yep.
And I think what you're doing, Qaisara, you are really paving way for the future generation. Yes. Honestly, I never had your courage when I was 13. Never. You know?
Well, it took last night a very long time to build up to what to say.
Of course.
It starts somewhere, Qaisara.
We all have to start somewhere.
Yeah. I'm glad it's starting right now at the age of 14 to speak about something so horrific for every girl and women out there.
And know that we believe you.
Yeah.
No one's going to scold you, okay?
Yeah.
But I think it's such an Asian thing to be afraid to open up to our parents because I think their way of protecting us is to mara us lah. Hey, why you do that? You don't do that lah. But I guess with awareness, with education, then things will slowly change. But yeah, I think before we, let you go, I want you to stay for a little bit more because I think Lez Ann do have some questions.
Just one more. It's a question about your personal message to ladies and girls out there who are afraid to come forward, what would you say to them?
I would say that you shouldn't be afraid to seek out for help. Like, you have the rights to be scared, and you have the rights to ask other people for help, because honestly, doing this by yourself is really difficult and will put pressure on you a lot. So if you can just ask anyone you trust like a lot, like a family member or a friend, or even like a teacher out there that you trust a lot, just ask them for help when you need it, especially in these kinds of situations. Because once you get the help you need and everything ends, you'll just feel so relieved and happy, and you'll just want to spread more awareness so other ladies and girls out there will be safe.
Thank you so much for that message, Qaisara.
You're one hell of a girl. I'm so glad I met you.
I'm glad I met you guys too.
Continue doing what you do.
Yeah.
And we hope to see you do more great things. Yeah. We'll be keeping in touch, okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. And that was a very insightful sharing by Qaisara.
Mm-hmm.
And she really inspired me, because I don't think I had that courage when I was that age. But regardless of age, it does take time. So I guess sometimes you just got to do it at your own pace and heal in your own time.
Of course.
Right?
And I hope Qaisara has also inspired you to come and reach out to share your story with us, because I think it's so important. It's so critical to share what you've went through.
Yeah.
It starts from there. The healing starts from there.
Yeah. And I think we mentioned earlier while we were discussing that we're just so sick of just putting up awareness. How much more awareness do we need? We have all the awareness we need.
Preach.
We want change.
Change. Yes, we do.
That's why we've got a representative from Women's Aid Organization, WAO. She is the Capacity Building Officer that focuses on girls' empowerment programs. And she's also the moderator of the WAO Girls Takeover, which is this campaign we're doing, their online peer support network. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gaayathrey.
Thank you.
Can we just call you Gaaya?
Board, Gaaya.
You can call me Gaaya. Yeah. That's what everyone calls me. So
nice.
It's okay.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, we only met yesterday on Zoom.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to see you in person. And I think this is the third segment. We've kind of like got used to the set and we're comfortable. So we have lots more to share. So yeah, Gaaya, tell us more about yourself and your role in WAO, and what does your department do, and how did this whole campaign Girls Takeover came about?
Yeah. So my name is Gaaya. I'm from the Capacity Building Department, Capacity Building Officer from WAO. So what the Capacity Building Department does is mainly trainings. So when we talk about training, like training grassroots communities, B40 communities, we train them on domestic violence. What's domestic violence? How we're going to support, where they're going to go. We also train refugee women. We also train government staff as well as corporate staff. And now we are venturing into girls. So I think in 2019 as well as 2020, we had a couple of girl empowerment programs. I don't want to call it girls training because, it's not like, okay, we're going to sit down 2 hours. It's not a lecture. So yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been with WAO, and what made you join them?
So I've just been here for a year.
Yeah.
I graduated last October.
Yeah.
Last July, I think. And I really wanted to join WAO because I saw online via the Instagram that, they were creating change. They were pushing for paternity leave. They were pushing for gender equality. And I wanted to be a part of it. Yeah. It didn't matter to me if it was a small part or a big part. It still matters, right? It's still significant. So yeah, that's why I wanted to join WAO.
You're not only creating awareness, but you are also creating change.
Yes. I think that's our keyword today.
Yes, change. Small steps, but it's making a change.
But significant, yeah.
So I heard that, you do trainings for WAO. Would you say that sex education would be something very important for schools to have?
Yes.
Since we're on that topic.
We have to. We have to have sex education. And I think that, the recently released Status of Child Right report, made by CRCM, which is the Child Right Commission of Malaysia. No, we have to Child Rights Coalition of Malaysia. So they recently launched the Status of Child Rights report, and when you flip through the chapter of online sexual abuse, we found that a lot of teachers don't know how to deal with this. There's no clear SOPs. They themselves don't know how to deal with it. And it's important that teachers know how to deal with it, because they're one of the first persons who children might go to, who it's like a first layer of filtering, So I think what we need to do is not, to have sex education for kids, we must first train teachers.
That's true.
Yeah, to understand what is sex education, for they themselves go through training programs so they can better teach children. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we were just discussing this before we came on the show, that the terminology of this word sexual abuse, sexual harassment, sexual assault, is there a difference? Like, what do each of them really mean? Could you maybe just enlighten us about that?
So when we talk about sexual harassment, there's 3 main points on what sexual harassment is. So the first is it's sexual in nature. So whether it be, touching physically in the workplace, sending colleagues, sexual content, talking to them about sexually inappropriate stuff. The second point is it's non-consensual. So survivors did not ask for this. They didn't ask for it. So it's non-consensual. And the third and last point is it has an impact on the survivor.
Yep.
So they're sad, they're depressed, or they have PTSD. And in some cases, they're fired, maybe when they try to speak up, or they don't want to come to work because they're stressed.
Yeah, for sure.
And when we talk about sexual assault, so sexual assault and rape is often used interchangeably because I think it's more focused on physical.
Yeah.
So rape, gang rape, this kind of stuff. And when we talk about sexual abuse, this term is mainly used when a perpetrator is an adult and they're sexually abusing the child.
Right.
So, examples of this is, like you mentioned, Lez Ann, Larry Nassar.
Yeah, Larry Nassar.
You couldn't get the name yet.
Couldn't get the name, yeah.
And Jeffrey Epstein. So this is where the terminology sexual abuse happened is used. Yeah.
And they're all under the big umbrella of sexual harassment.
They're they're under sexual abuse, but so that would be under the bigger umbrella, which is gender-based violence.
Got it. Got it. And we want to know, because you do work quite closely with these girls now that you're also part of the online peer support network. What are some of the difficulties that they go through, and what you've seen so far working with the WAO team?
So when we talk about the Girls Takeover Network, it's I'll be shortly briefing on what it is. So it's a safe space where only girls from the age of 12 to 18 are allowed to be in.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the moderators, and we make sure the moderators are all women.
Yeah.
And in the network, we also have a social worker. So we do have some girls coming in talking about that they have experienced it, disclosure of violence. And how we do that is we flow them to the social worker. And what the social worker does is ask the girls who are survivors, okay, what would you like moving forward? Because we have to always make sure that we ask the survivor, what do you want? Do you want counseling? Do you want to do police report? We can't move forward into thinking of, well, what we think is important for them.
What you think best for them may not be what they want.
Yeah.
That's
because
true.
At the end of the day, they're the one in the situation, right?
Yep.
So we have to ask them first.
Speaking of sexual harassment and sexual abuse, a lot of victims don't consider themselves being abused or harassed unless it gets serious. Can you share some light on
how we draw the line?
Where do we draw the line? What set the boundaries?
So I think a lot of people might think about sexual abuse or sexual harassment when, like you said, in extreme cases, right? Gang rape, or rape itself. And I think where we could, I don't want to say where we could draw the line of what is sexual abuse, because like I described, right, sexual harassment, sexual assault, this is for, we can give a lot of education and awareness of what each things are to the survivors. But I do think at the end of the day, it's the survivors that have to make that choice. And I do think that we have to ask them if they're ready to talk about it. Because like I mentioned as well, we can't force them. We don't know what kind of situation they're in. We don't know if they have a supportive family. We don't know if they are afraid of disclosing it. Victim blaming happens a lot. It happens a lot. So, yeah.
So, Gaaya, we were speaking yesterday on Zoom about victim blaming, and you wanted to emphasize on this one, very much so. So would you like to tell us what victim blaming is? What it consists of? Yeah.
So victim blaming is essentially, I would say, born from rape culture. So rape culture would be like, there's layers, right? So the first layer is, implying that men are above than women. Women are somehow inferior. So there's this rape jokes, these kind of jokes being thrown around because, boys will be boys.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, you hear this a lot. Boys will be boys. And it's kind of accepted in society that this is how it is. And then after that, we go to maybe sexual harassment, touching inappropriately, speaking inappropriately. Then we go to the most top layer, which is rape, gang rape, this horrible extreme things. So victim blaming, I would say what it consists of is blaming the survivor. So whenever a survivor comes up and talks about how they were sexually abused or harassed, the first thing someone will do is like, well, you allowed this to happen. Why were you wearing these clothes? Why did you allow the guy to maybe, come in? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why were you drinking? Why were you wearing short skirts? So this is also part of rape culture. And I think this mainly comes from, again, like I said, the factor of men are inferior. And what this causes is also survivors don't want to come out. Yeah, they don't want to disclose it because they're scared.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are not aware of what rape culture is because there was an article online and it was part of the WAO initiative. And I read the comments, and a lot of women and men do not understand what rape culture is. And it's just horrific to know that it's people don't know what it is.
But in some ways, it's also because of the lack of knowledge.
Yes.
We never had sex education.
But when we do create knowledge for them, they fight back.
Yeah.
But
sorry. What are the steps? Yeah.
But like before that, since you mentioned a lot of people don't know rape culture, let's just once and for all and maybe talk about it. What is rape culture?
Yeah.
So rape culture is, of course, based on the notion of toxic masculinity. Basically, thinking women are inferior than men. So like I mentioned before, there's like layers where men are made to feel like they can do anything. And the reason why they can do anything to women without getting away with it is because, like the article that you mentioned, there were also some comments saying that no, rape culture doesn't exist in Malaysia. It's made up.
It's not that bad.
It's
Stop
not
making it a thing.
bad.
Oh, it pisses me off.
Yeah, and this is victim blaming as well. Saying it doesn't exist, this is just, a whole big hoo-ha.
Those comments are part of rape culture.
Yeah, and those comments are part of rape culture as well.
And speaking of rape culture, I think I stumbled upon this article about this teacher. He's a teacher, a professor at a local educational institution where he basically said to his students, I think he promoted a video. I mean, he posted up a video promoting rape culture. And the gist of his content was basically saying women have to take care of how they dress. Otherwise, they would attract potential rapists. Again, victim blaming. within rape culture is it's insane. Why would people think that way?
I can't answer that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Even, when we talk about rape culture, there's this awareness. At the end of the day, I feel like,
I think we've been conditioned.
Yeah, what's wrong with you? Why? I feel like it's internalized.
Internalized
for so long,
for centuries, from our ancestors and our own grandparents and parents. That when we go out, like Maggie last time, your mom would say, "Hey, don't wear spaghetti strap. Don't wear
later the boys see you. You're so sexy for what?
Don't go out late at night.
Layer up.
Yeah.
They tell the girls to be careful of boys, but never telling the boys to respect women.
I was going to say that. Yeah. It's so rare. Do we have parents doing that? Do we have society doing that? You respect women. You don't touch girls without their consent.
Don't hit them. You don't hit them.
Yeah. So I feel like even parents have to start there. You don't just go to your daughters, and of course you should tell them this is sex ed, but don't tell them stuff like you gotta wear longer skirts or this is what's gonna happen. You have to start with your sons as well. You also have to tell them that you can't, you have to be, respectful of girls. You can't touch them just because you want them to. You have to ask for consent, and it has to be active, clear consent.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if it's the Asian culture of parenting.
It's global.
It's global, right?
It's everywhere.
Yeah. So it's time to not just tell our girls to be careful. Sure, everyone should be careful either way. There are bad people out there, but why just girls? Tell your boys and men to respect women.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ultimately the kind of change I really want to see. But since we're talking about sexual abuse, harassment, but since the focal point today is sexual harassment online. With the usage of TikTok.
Yes.
And all these Instagram, like Qaisara mentioned earlier. What can we do to protect our girls? I think that is ultimately the question I want to know. How can we do something to protect them?
I think that this falls on the responsibility of these platforms as well. So TikTok, especially TikTok, it's where young girls are.
Oh yeah.
It's where young girls go to. Even Instagram is like, they just crowd to TikTok. So I know that TikTok, you need to take responsibilities on stating clear SOPs. You need to tighten your security. So our team itself actually did approach TikTok Malaysia to talk about this issue and to talk about how they can create maybe like a child protection policy. And we did also offer them our child protection policies, WAO's child protection policies, to start like a basic ground, And TikTok Malaysia were very supportive of it. They were very positive of it. They seemed interested to start off. But as of now, it's still pending. We are still waiting for what is the next action from TikTok Malaysia.
Just how our sexual harassment bill is still pending.
Yes, that's pending as well. When are they going to table it? What is going to happen? It's all pending. And it's ridiculous that it's pending because this is such an important topic. Yeah.
And sexual harassment bill, does it also include sexual harassment online, or is it just offline?
So what we know right now about the sexual harassment bill is it does say that it covers all forms of sexual abuse. So since sexual abuse online is a part of sexual abuse generally, it should be covering it.
Yeah.
But I think that until that bill is tabled, until our government and authority can detail what is happening, I do think it should be covered. But I think we'll find out more when it's finally tabled.
Yeah. I think sometimes like we mentioned earlier, there's only so much we can do.
Yeah.
We can do what we can, but things like this.
The internet, the world of the internet is so vast.
I feel so helpless sometimes.
Yeah.
And especially recently, the whole V2K group. In case you guys don't know, to our listeners, it was a local private group chat on Telegram exposing photos, pornographic, inappropriate photos of girls, women, and
children
online. it's disgusting.
It is disgusting.
Why
40,000 monsters on it? You know, I wouldn't call them boys and men. Maggy, I'm sorry, but
monsters.
Monsters. 40,000.
Yeah,
babe.
I'm not here to say all men are like that. I know men who are not like that.
Yeah.
I know
we have really good allies.
Our sound guy Ryan is like, I'm not like that, guys. So yeah,
his eyes went super big.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what did I do now?
I do also want to, you know, say that it's teamwork, not just girls fighting for girls.
Yeah.
Can our men stand with us too?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, Maggy, yes.
Because we will stand for you if things like this come. But who's going to stand for us?
We need more allyship.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's so
allies,
important. Because right now I keep hearing girls standing for girls, women standing for women. But that doesn't mean men can't stand for us. These things are happening close to home, not just, you know, documentaries you watch on Netflix about Jeffrey Epstein. It happens right here in our own home.
Right.
And I'm sorry if I sound a little bit angry. It's just so frustrating.
You should get angry.
I'm so angry that these are happening. And I was just reading, I stumbled upon this post by someone yesterday and I had to put it out there that a man's arousal is his own responsibility. It is not the responsibility of the body that evokes that arousal. You can't keep your penis in your pants. It's not our problem.
Yeah.
So don't blame it on us.
Perfect.
That we are wearing too little or what. I wear what I want. You take care of yourself and don't touch me.
Yeah. And I feel like this whole thing about, you know, you have to wear appropriate clothes. You don't have to go to, you don't go to the bar. And I know this is a heavy topic, but I want to say, you know, perpetrators do rape children. Perpetrators do rape women who wear really long clothes. So this idea of you have to take care of your clothes, you have to do this, no, it's a power imbalance. Men do it to everyone.
Yeah.
It's not just about this.
Regardless of what you wear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, sexual abuse like this can also lead to violence against women. And it's a whole spectrum.
Yeah.
You know, it's a whole spectrum.
It's huge.
It flows into so many multiple things.
Yeah. And I think it sucks the most because I was, again, doing some research that the police statistics, and this is only the reported cases, by the way. We all know how many unreported cases there are, that 80% of rape victims in Malaysia alone are girls below the age of 18. And as of 2018, nearly 65% of child rape victims and almost 80% of incest victims are below 15 years old.
That's scary. I also have another statistic for you.
Go ahead, please.
50% of rape cases where the survivors are girls, the perpetrators are usually their relatives or family. This is very difficult to accept, very difficult to see the numbers.
I don't know how to digest that.
Yeah. It's not even strangers. It's
people they trust.
People they trust. This violation of trust, you know? And yeah, if it's done by children, by perpetrators, in their own family, you know, there's a lot of grooming and it's such a heavy topic. It's difficult to, like you said, Lez Ann, and also Maggy, that it happens from someone really close.
Do you have a story to tell?
Yeah. So actually when I was, I can't really remember the proper age, 6 to 12, I think, I was sexually abused, I think. It's hard to say. Sexually abused by a relative. They were actually my age as well. They were actually just a few years above me. So 2-3 years above me. And this happened. And I only accepted it when I was 21. Because before this, I just pushed it down. I was like, nah, it's not. Can't be sexual abuse because it's my relative. And she was just a child like me too. And after a few years of thinking and dwelling, I realized, okay, it's a child, right? A child doesn't know what is sex. A child doesn't know what is rape. So she probably they probably had to experience it from someone else. So then it opens up this whole thing where an adult did this to her.
Oh my God.
And I don't know who that adult is. I'm not sure who that adult is. This happened. So this kind of set the ground where I kind of had low self-esteem, didn't believe in myself, set the ground for everything. So when I was a teenager, happened again with a classmate who was also a year older than me. I would call this sexual coercion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me at least, I wanted someone to pay attention to me, right? I wanted, someone to love
validation.
me, pay attention to me, validation. Yes. And this person was there. It was a toxic relationship, you know?
It was your boyfriend at the time? Or like
I don't know. I don't think that's a boyfriend, you know?
Okay.
It kind of sucks calling it that.
Okay.
Because real boyfriends are nice, like your boyfriend, you know? So
I get it.
Yeah, right. So I guess you could call it that. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, this happened because I just wanted attention. And when I was young, I just thought, okay, you know, if this is what it takes, sure thing. Okay, I'll give it. And then after that, when I was 22, happened again. Someone who was older than me. So I think this is where, you know, we talked about sexual harassment, sexual assault, sexual abuse would fall under sexual harassment. I hugged that person, and that the first thing the person said was, "Oh, your chests are so large." And I just froze, and I was like, okay. And I just went back home. It just brought up an excuse, you know?
Yeah, and I'm sorry that happened to you.
It's okay.
And these are just some of the stories a lot of women go through.
And it really shocked me because as I was hearing that, you know, you were talking in your segment, Qaisara was talking in her segment, I'm talking now in my segment that all of us has gone through something like this.
One of us don't have a story.
And
Isn't
I'm like,
shocking?
Right, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, and it's just here. It's just a studio.
Yeah.
So, and
I received so many stories just a couple of days ago, and it was overwhelming to read it and to know those are just some of the stories they chose to share with me. And some did tell me that they were not ready. But what I think that just goes to show that this is happening and we got to do something about it. But let's be realistic, okay? Let's be realistic. How can girls, women really seek help if let's say I just experienced something really uncomfortable. Where can I go next? What can I do?
Okay.
What are the steps of action?
So if you are a survivor and you're ready to lodge a complaint, you can go to police, PDRM. And again, since we're on the topic of sexual online abuse, if you have experienced this, you can lodge a complaint to MCMC, which is Malaysia Communications and Multimedia Commission. They do have an act where this is an offense, and that act is Communications and Multimedia Act, which basically covers any sort of abuse, threats, online on the internet. This would cover it. But of course, this is sad, but it's a reality where when survivors do go to PDRM, when survivors do go to MCMC,
that's why I stifled a laugh there.
They're not treated with respect.
They're dismissed.
Yeah, they're dismissed. You know, tu saja, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, pun nak report ke?
Yeah.
Especially if it happens between families, then we've had survivors who say, "Alah, nak ke report keluarga je," you know. So if you've tried going to PDRM, you've tried going to MCMC, and you're still not receiving the support, you want to know what other steps you can do, you can always call us. WA hotline. You can call Awam's hotline. You can call Cyber 999 because they also deal with online abuse.
And I have the numbers here. I'm just going to read it out, but it will also be in our description. So Women's Aid Organization's hotline is 03-7956-3488. Again, it's 03-7956-3488. And you also have a WhatsApp number, SMS. Yes. So that would be 018-988-8058. Don't worry if you missed that. You can we will put
always
it out.
Go to our website. Yeah. And I also wanted to say that our WhatsApp and SMS, it's called Tina. And what Tina is
Tina?
Full. Yeah, Tina. Oh. Think I need aid. Yeah. And the reason why we have WhatsApp and SMS is because we're also considering that a lot of survivors, you don't want to save the contact as WAO. Right. What if the perpetrator finds out? Like, oh, you're going out and you're going to report this. There's going to be threats.
For sure.
Yeah. So we do advise everyone there, if you're in this kind of situation, you can just save it as Tina.
T-I-N. What was it again?
T-I-N-A. Think I need aid.
I think I need aid.
I need aid. I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about the bystander effect.
Mm-hmm.
How can a bystander help if you know that someone is in trouble? Do we call the same hotline?
Yes, definitely. Survivors themselves, it's not, we do get survivors calling us, but if you feel like someone's being abused, or maybe you're part of the family, or you're seeing this, definitely call us. Don't worry, if you don't know, we will go through the steps with you.
There's risk assessments and all that stuff.
There's risk assessments. We talk to our survivors. Okay, what would you like? What are you ready for? Do you want to lodge a police report? Do you just need counseling? Do you need to go to shelter? Because, we have a trauma-informed mindset. Yeah.
But this is also open to all women? Not just women. Girls from
all
12
women,
to 7.
all girls, all women, whether you're Malaysian, non-Malaysian, whether you're a refugee, or whether you're staying here but you're not Malaysian, everyone.
As long as you're a woman.
I know women go through, 80% of women go through. Most of the victims are women.
Yeah.
But there are boys who are victims as well. Do they call the same hotline?
It does happen rarely. As of now, WO doesn't quite have detailed SOP on dealing with that.
Yeah.
Because we are mainly catering for women and girls that do need help.
Yeah.
But we have taken this in mind. This is, we're planning on how to deal with this because, even though survivors, most of them are women and girls. We do have male survivors.
They are.
They're more male and boys. And most of the time, they got shamed as well.
Of course.
Yeah. Because of toxic masculinity, they're like, how could you be raped? You're the dude. You're the guy. Yeah.
They get dismissed.
They get dismissed a lot by society.
I remember you telling us that you had a male calling in the hotline once about
a perpetrator.
A perpetrator calling in. Can you tell us that story before we end the episode?
Yeah.
So again, our social workers are the one who pick up our hotline. So it's not, it's not anyone else from the department. We did know that rarely, sometimes perpetrators call.
What do they say?
They say I'm abusing my wife. What can I do?
Okay.
How can I change? So, when people think of perpetrators, they think of oh, you're horrible. You're monsters, right? And most of them are. But but what do you do in this case, right? And again, we don't have a clear SOP on this, but again, we are definitely taking account into this because we don't want to just dismiss them.
For sure.
They're showing they want to change.
Yeah.
And we should be able to cater to men who want to change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. That's good to know. And how can our listeners join WAO's network?
Okay. So I'm going to start off with girls first.
Yeah.
So if you are between the ages of 12 to 18, we do have a network called WAO Girls Takeover Network, which is where Qaisara came from. So what is this network? This network is for all girls to have a discussion or discourse on girls' rights. We have multiple forums like, domestic violence, sex education, child rights, refugee rights. And, it's not like a 9 to 5. You can talk about whatever you want And sometimes when we do have opportunities like podcasts or interviews, we will ask you.
Yeah.
And it's also a safe space where you can share your experience if you want to.
Yeah.
You can have a discourse if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And we will not force you. Yeah. If you don't want to do certain things, we won't force you. We will definitely flow you to our social workers who's there as well.
And you provide counseling. And
yeah,
that is
we
very
do
important.
provide counseling. And recently, we have now started providing counseling for children. Yes,
awesome.
Because most of the time, we also have to keep in mind that survivors who come in, they have children.
Yes.
And even, let's say, the child may not necessarily be the first point of abuse, but the child is witnessing this.
Yeah.
That is also a form of abuse. So children witnessing is a form of abuse too.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily matter how old you are. If you need help, they are here for you.
Yes. We're here.
And of course, if say I'm interested to volunteer, for instance, how can I do so?
You can go to WAO's website.
It's wao.org.my.
Yes, wao.org.my. And you can click on wanting to volunteer. So the basic process is you sign up a form and we do an orientation. We do a volunteers orientation where we talk about different departments. And at the end of the day, you get to choose which departments you want to work with. If you want to work with maybe capacity building and training, you get to do that. If you want to work at, volunteer at advocacy, you get to do that as well.
Well, Gaaya, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you
so much for
and thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Yes.
That was really insightful. And I hope you listening, you
have gained some insights.
Yeah, and some resources in your pockets to know where to go, who to call. And I know sometimes, unfortunately, the PDRM reports are really
difficult.
Just difficult. We don't know why it never works or they never actually do anything about it. But, know that they are also organizations like Women's AIDS Organization and Awam that you can reach out to. For more information, of course, check them out on their website is wao.org.my. Yes.
I also wanted to add something, which I forgot.
Sure.
So previously I was talking about Girls Takeover Network, right?
Yeah.
So where you can find, to girls, where you can find on how to join this is also on the website.
Right.
So it's a tab called Girls for Goals, and you can go there.
Awesome.
Girls for Goals.
Girls for Goals.
Yes, I think I saw it yesterday. There's a QR code that you just need to scan and then it will be part of the platform that they are on.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we can share this podcast to whoever that you feel could,
benefit from this.
From.
Yeah.
And it was scary sharing my story. I kind of feel like I don't know if I should have done that.
Thank you for being so brave.
Thank you
for sharing that story.
Yeah, I feel scared as well.
Yeah, right? It's so
I've
scary
never told anyone.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm like, my God, it's going on YouTube.
Should I have said it? But know that we are here for you. Head Over Heels is here for you. And to remind you to always fall head over heels for yourself first and always. And of course, special thanks to Qaisara, who is still on set watching us. Thank you so much, Qaisara.
You were the greatest star here.
You were.
And yes, next episode in the next 2 weeks, follow us on the Head Over Heels. And my name is Maggy.
And Lez Ann. Thank you for having me again.
You're welcome. Gaaya and
Qaisara.
Thank you. And we will see you in the next episode. Take care and goodbye.